In this video, I want to show you a little bit about Markers Plus. Since they recently partnered up with NINZA, this is that new combo that NINZA is offering, the Trio M. It's got the moving average crossover, the multi-oscillator overbought, oversold, overlap. Try saying that 5 times in a row. And the Markers Plus software, which will automate any kind of signals from any indicators. So when you have the Markers Plus loaded up as an indicator on your chart, you will see a long signal object and a short signal object. I'm just going to put this to any object. For the long signal color, I'm going to select Dodger Blue. For the short signal color, I'm going to go with Hot Pink. And that's because these other indicators, my multi-oscillator overbought, oversold, the colors are Dodger Blue and Hot Pink. Also the same for the moving average crossover. So I've got this Markers Plus indicator to take a long when it recognizes any object with the color Dodger Blue and short any object with the color Hot Pink. You can choose your account. I've got some playback data loaded. Markers Plus has some built-in money management if you would like to take advantage of that feature. You can set a max daily profit or a max daily loss, and it will stop trading once it reaches one of the two. If you don't want to worry about it, just make it something ridiculous. So now we have our Markers Plus. I'm going to click on this select a valid ATM box. It will automatically select whatever ATM strategy you have loaded up on ChartTrader. And then where it says off, you can have it disabled, manual mode, semi-automatic mode, or automatic mode. I'm going to put it in semi-auto. So now if I want it to take the next long, I highlight the long so it's got this green rectangle around the word long. If I want it to take the next long or short, I make sure that they're both highlighted. If I don't want it to take anything, I'll leave them both disabled. Easy as that. Got some market replay data loaded. This was last week, right at 8:30. There's a news announcement. I'm not trading during news announcements, but once we get a few minutes in, I can enable this. This is a 1-minute ES chart. So we're having a big reaction to the news. So if I want to try and catch a retracement, I just highlight the short button. Now Markers Plus will automatically take a trade for us as soon as it sees one of the signals print. There we have the signal print. We were entered into the trade automatically. I can move my take profit and stop to wherever I need it to. We were already in the short trade, so it did not enter another short trade. First we had the multi-overbought, oversold, overlap, print a short, and then we had the moving average crossover, print a short. So with the semi-automatic mode, once it takes one trade to completion, it will disable the short. So if you wanted to take another short, you would have to enable it once again. In the fully automatic mode, once you highlight it, it just stays on until you uncheck it. But you can see Markers Plus is keeping track of your daily P&L and also how much you made or lost in the last trade. We had a big move up, got a retracement. I could have enabled the long there to trade back in the direction of the move of the news. We had a moving average crossover signal print, had a nice move up. So that's how it auto trades for you. It's very simple. You can use it on any indicator that prints a marker. Just select the appropriate colors. So we're getting a retracement now. Let's say I want to catch the next long back in the direction of this news reaction. We get a multi-overbought, oversold indicator. Got another trade of $244. Grand total daily P&L of $488. We had another moving average crossover signal. There's another multi-overbought, oversold signal. So yeah, if you're paying attention to a higher time frame and you only want to take longs if the overall higher time frame is in longs, you can do that. You can only enable your longs. Same for the shorts. So that's one of the ways you can use the Markers Plus software. So this is the same ES 1 minute chart with no indicators. Another way I like to use Markers Plus is to create my own indicators. In fact, when I saw the multi-overbought, oversold indicator that NINZA offered, I knew how this indicator was making its calculations. I knew that it was waiting till multiple oscillators were overbought or oversold, and then when they crossed back into the median range, it was printing these reversal signals. So I'll show you how you can make this multi-overbought, oversold indicator using only Markers Plus, even if you don't have this indicator. Although the deal that they're offering with the moving average crossover and the overbought, oversold in conjunction with Markers Plus, it's still cheaper than Markers Plus normally costs, so pretty good deal right now. So I want to add an instance of Markers Copy. Let's say I want to measure the RSI. I'm going to call it RSI 1. I don't want to see the copied line. For the input series, I want to go into indicators and I want to choose my RSI. And then I also want to add another Markers Copy for a stochastic. Just name it something, go to input series, and choose a stochastic. I like to use the K plot. I know other people use the D plot. I prefer the K. So now I want to add Markers Logic. And I highly recommend going over to the Indicator Store's YouTube channel. Pablo has a ton of videos on how to create all different kinds of things in Markers Plus. So 0 when it's in the parentheses, that's the current bar. 1 when it's in the parentheses, that's 1 bar ago. So using the Markers Logic, I can have it print a signal when both the RSI and the stochastic are overbought or oversold. So the RSI 1, that's because I called this the RSI 1 under the new Markers variable name on my Markers Copy. The RSI 1 of the current bar is less than 30, and also the stochastic 1 of the current bar is less than 30 as well. So both these have to be true in order for it to print the background. And instead of just printing the first signal, I want it to print every single time, all times that this condition is true. And then I add another instance of Markers Logic, and this time when the RSI 1 of the current bar is greater than 70, and also the stochastic 1 of the current bar is also greater than 70. Both those have to be true, and it will paint all the times that is true with a background of hot pink. I can change the color, it can change the opacity. So let's click apply here. So now we've got these backgrounds being printed by Markers Plus. And this is when the RSI and the stochastic are both oversold. We'll get a green background. When both the RSI and the stochastic are overbought, above 70, we'll get this hot pink background. So with just the RSI and the stochastic, not even throwing the MFI in there, it's perfectly mimicking the multi-overbought, oversold indicator for NINZA. When a signal would print is when this background stops printing. So it goes into oversold territory, then the very next candle, when the background disappears, that's when the arrow should appear, which it does right there. Same here, we're getting overbought conditions, and then this third candle right here stops printing the background. That's when the arrow would be printed. We see right there, that's exactly what happened. Let's say I wanted to add the moving average crossover using Markers Plus if I didn't have the moving average crossover indicator. There's a specific indicator called Markers Crossover, But first, I want to attach two copies. One for my slow moving average, slow MA, input series, indicators. I want my slow period to be a linear regression of 50. For this other markers copy, I want a fast moving average, fast MA, input series, indicators, EMA, go for a period of 9. So now in the markers crossover, I just type in the two variables, fast MA and slow MA, the two copies that I just made. And then I change the new markers variable to fast and slow. Then I click apply. Now we've got the same arrows as the moving average crossover indicator, except they're being entirely printed by Markers Plus. And with the markers crossover, you get a histogram at the bottom that corresponds with the crossover. Now if I wanted to paint the bar color for all the bars that were above or below this moving average crossover, I'd open up another markers logic. So anytime our fast moving average is greater than the slow moving average, we want to print all the signals. We want to change the bar color, let's make it lime green. Now all the candles are being painted lime green. Add one more copy of markers logic. I can copy this code, can paste it here, except now anytime the fast moving average is below the slow moving average, I want it to print all, bar color red. So now I've got a copy of this chart over here. Kind of a pain in the butt to do it manually, but when I didn't have this multi-overbought oversold indicator and I was just curious to see what it might look like and if it would be something that I wanted to use, I actually coded it just like this in markers so I could see how it performed. I saw that it was pretty dang good, so I got the multi-overbought oversold indicator, and it's much easier to just attach this to my chart than it is to go through all this. But I think it's helpful to know how these indicators are working, how they're built, because if I did want to incorporate a higher time frame, I could add another markers copy. Let's add a SMA 100. I can go to indicators, going to add a SMA 100. So I'm going to get rid of this markers crossover. Going to add another markers logic. Going to copy and paste. This is the moving average crossover, and the fast moving average of the current bar is greater than the slow moving average of the current bar, and the fast moving average of 1 bar ago was less than the slow moving average of 1 bar ago. And I want the close of the current bar to be greater than the SMA current bar. So now, if this signal printed on the simple moving average crossover before, the signal will only print if the fast moving average crosses the slow moving average and the close of the candle is above the 100 SMA. So first, arrow up. Gonna add one more marker's logic. Copy. Paste. Change some arrows. Now, when the fast moving average is lower than the slow moving average for the first bar, and the previous bar was greater. We want the close to be below the SMA 100 now. And we want arrow down. The arrow to appear above price by 4 ticks and color red. Minimize all these markers plus logic windows here. I don't need to see them. But here's the results. See this arrow, moving average crossover arrow here? We took that one because we were above the 100 moving average. This one right here did not print. Price was below the 100 moving average. This moving average crossover signal, this took because price was below the 100 SMA. So 1, 2, 3, 4 moving average crossover signals on this chart got put down to 2 on this chart, taking trades that were only with the higher time frame. So you can see the infinite possibilities of how you can come up with the wildest, craziest strategies you'd ever imagine. And then you do the same thing. Then you add your markers plus. You want to take a long signal on an arrow up, short signal on an arrow down. Use the same colors. I use chartreuse and red. Now you can enable this markers plus. So that was some more complex ways to use it. The easiest way was how I showed you in the beginning. Super easy. Simply choose any object for the long and short signal, and then choose the appropriate long color and short signal color for the markers that you're using with whatever indicator that you have. And then you're set up. Trades for you automatically. You could have it running on high-speed Renko charts, whatever you like. But I really like diving deep and trying to make my own indicators and strategies with markers. So if you enjoyed learning how to do some of these things, please leave a like. Much appreciated. Best of luck in your trading. Hope this gives you some good ideas.